They got beat by 2 scores by the Ravens. They haven't really been blown out the way the Niners blew the Cardinals out on Monday night.
I got an early line of -8. Feels a little big. A short week, Mexico City. The Dennis Allen, Andy Dalton, James Winston thing has been a pretty big debacle. I mean, yeah, they had pretty high hopes.
Well, they're idiots. It's been exactly what the rest of us thought it was going to be.
They traded their first-round pick thinking that they were in win-now mode.
Like, I'm not big on hindsight and pretending, but this one we all saw coming from a mile away.
I think this is internally for them. You and I saw it. Most people saw it. I think they believed in Dennis Allen. I think when you're around an assistant coach and, like, you just think he's the next guy, which is weird. Like, some of the rumors about some of the 49ers guys, like, yeah, they just didn't really see it with Mike McDaniel. Thought he was kind of goofy. Like, the Niners are the opposite. Like, Robert Saleh, fuck, they were sniffing around Vic Fangio a couple years in. Kyle's like the opposite. Saints are like, I think we got this guy. It wasn't his fault with the Raiders. He's a star. No, this guy stinks, man. I would go out of the building. Honestly, I would take Dan Campbell over Dennis Allen. I don't know about you, but
I would also.
I would take Dan Campbell over Dennis Allen. So you're right, though. I mean, you watch them; they do have a good defensive front. Alvin Kamara is a good player, but I just see no scenario. You don't need to cover the spread. You can't lose the Saints at home and have it not be a disaster. You can win by 3 points. You can win by the skin of your teeth. It can be an ugly game, but you got to have more points than them at the end of the game. You have to. Must-win game, guy, especially when you factor in given the games coming up. I mean, this is, on paper, given the records, pretty tough 4 games coming. Like, I forget who Tampa plays this week, but they're off a bye. They play the Browns with Jacoby. Like, Tampa's going to win. Like, Tampa's going to the playoffs. Miami is going to the playoffs. I don't know if Seattle and the Commanders, I wouldn't put that in stone.
No,
but
Seattle plays the next 3 weeks.
I know they play the Rams one of the games.
They play the Raiders this week.
In a weird way, I kind of like the Raiders.
In Seattle. They play the Rams. They play the Panthers.
I mean,
I agree. Like, I don't think Seattle is going to they've exceeded not just expectations. I think they've exceeded their capabilities, but like
Stafford's had 7 concussions, but he'll play again.
They should win 2 of those games, right?
You'd think. But the NFL doesn't necessarily always work that way, right?
But this is the deal. Like, if you are the Niners team that we think you can be because we just watched you play the Cardinals, go do that again against the Saints and then do it again. That's what Super Bowl champs look like. Like, when we look up and go, well, when the Niners play the way they played against the Cardinals on Monday night, you cannot pick 5 teams in the NFL that you think are better than them.
Well, what's acceptable?
You got to go do it again.
What's acceptable before the Seattle road game? Winning 2 out of the next 3 and being 8-5 going into that game. I think that's the only option. That's the worst case scenario. Like, obviously you can't lose 2 out of 3 at home. Like, you got to win 2 of these next 3 minimum and just be 8-5 going in that game. Like, that's just got to be the case. Get 3 straight home games against shitty team. I mean, the Tampa struggled on offense all season long, and Miami, given that they're going to be a good fair weather team, and when I say fair weather, I just mean like when the weather's good, they're going to be a problem. I don't trust Tua necessarily in like pumping winds and MetLife or New England, but if Levi's is 70 or 65 degrees, like that's Tyreek and Waddle are going to be a problem. But you got to win 2 of the 3 of those games. If you're 8-5, I don't think anyone can complain, right? It might suck that individual game that you lose, but I think if you're 8-5 going into that game, I think there's probably a good chance they're 8-5. What can you ask for? Because then you beat them.
Yeah, I'm saying 8-5 with 4 games to play.
I'm saying they win 2 of the next 3 games.
Yeah, well, I'm just another way to say it. I think is just for the big picture perspective. You're 8-5 with 4 to play. So 10 wins is right there for you, right? 11 wins is in play at that point.
You're already 4-0 in the division, and if you win that Seattle game, you'd be 5-0 and in fucking fantastic shape.
Well, they're going to be favored in every game they play from here on out.
You think so?
Saints, yes. Will they be favored at home against Miami?
I mean, if Miami were to win pretty big the next couple games, could that be like a pick 'em?
Yeah, it
feels
could be.
kind of. No, you're right. They should be favored in that game.
So there's not a lot. None of these losses would feel good in the moment. Like
there's not a game on their schedule that they're going to be an underdog. You don't think? Looking at it?
So Miami at home is Miami's the best team that they play the rest of the year. Unless
who else do they play? Raiders, Cardinals,
Bucks at home. No, if
Commanders.
they've lost to the Saints and the Dolphins, if they've lost to the Saints and the Dolphins going to the Bucks game, okay.
This was honestly the stretch when the schedule came out that like we thought the Niners had to take hay, right?
Yeah. What would be the worst loss? Would it be Vegas?
No, I think like this week would be pretty shitty.
So it'd either be this one. A football team would not be as bad as this one would be. Yeah, this would be the worst one. Arizona, week 18, if you had to win it for some weird reason, I guess that one could then become that. But this would be the worst one.
Yeah.
Miami, in a weird way, the best team you play probably. Although Tampa, who knows? Maybe they can find a way to flip the switch.
I'm going to have to keep a tight eye on Tampa this week. I mean, they're
a good call.
Little out of sight, out of mind.
I agree.
It's been weird. I didn't watch a second of their Germany game. Not 1 second. Haven't seen one pass. Even the pass that I guess they threw to Tom Brady. I have not even seen it.
You didn't see that?
I have not seen it.
Yeah. I mean, they've won 2 one-score games against.
But they have not
NFC West teams.
Tampa's. I mean, they're one of the worst rushing teams in the history of the league.
Yeah.
To me, Miami.
No team has made the playoffs as bad when they're as bad at rushing as the Tampa Bay Bucks are in the history of the sport.
Here's what I'll say. I think Tampa and Miami are like those. I take those games seriously. I mean, those are going to be real games. Definitely Miami, assuming the weather's good, right? If it's a sunny day, no wind, like holy fuck.
Yeah.
How are they covering those guys?
Just all you got to forget about Mike McDaniel and forget about Tua, whatever. Tyreek Hill is on the other team.
Yeah.
That's enough.
For sure.
And then you add to it, you add the other guys to it, and Tua and Mike McDaniel knows exactly what you do. He knows it inside and out. You could argue nobody knows it better. The only buddy who would know it better is if you played Mike Shanahan.
What about their players, guy? I mean, I'm not trying to get too far ahead, but like Jeff Wilson, Mostert, and Sherfield, you're just talking about players that, like Mike, feel pretty confident. I think John Embry's on the staff, Wes Welker's on the staff. Like, they just have a very, very good idea of Kyle D'Amico, just the ethos of the players and the operation. That would be a good win. Obviously, Tampa would be a good win too, but like, if you were able to sweep these next 3 games, I think there would be a shitload of like national. This is a legit Super Bowl contender, and the Eagles are not. I already think people.
You mean the top contender?
I feel people have pulled back on the Eagles a little bit. Like they've shown some. Just are we sure?